I am Dajcz family from Poland. I was born in Poland in Siemiatycze in 1935. My parents were very well to do. We had a factory of tiles from my father's side. From my mother's side, they had an electricity factory, and they were very rich people. And when I was about 5, in order to eat 1 spoon of soup, they used to take me in the car. They were probably one of the first cars in the village. They used to take me around in order so I eat 1 spoon of soup. I also had a carriage and a horse, and I had somebody Polish that raised me. But she used to take me to the church. There was a church there, and I used to go with her to the church. I don't know, I was 5 years old, I was very young. But she used to go every Sunday to the church, and she used to take me to the church. So I still remember here and there when I came first to Poland. I think it was in the 90s. I remember the church, and I was looking for the church. I came to the church, it's a little bit on the hill, and I found out that I don't remember that church, and I was astonished. So I asked somebody whether this is a new church or something happened, and the people said to me, of course you can't remember because the church is renewed, and they put up a huge fence, a very high fence around the church, and that's why I could not remember the church. But that's probably the first things that I remember from my childhood. My parents married because from the two sides, from my father's side and my mom's side, they were very rich people. And in such a small place, usually they marry when the two rich sides marry, and that would happen. So they married, and my father was afterwards the one that ruled the factory, was the director of the tile factory. This tile factory got a prize in 1906 in the exhibition in Paris for the product they used to produce at that time. So on my mother's side, they had mills, and they had the electricity factory. So altogether they were rich people, and they even visited, my parents visited Israel, at the time Palestine, already in 1934. They were already in Palestine at the time, and they came back, and unfortunately when the war broke out in 1939, they could not go back to Palestine as they wished. My aunt married a very wealthy family as well in Białystok by the name of Paulinski. I know that Misha Paulinski was an engineer. I know that his father had a sklad, a shop for agricultural tools, all kind. Misha himself was an engineer. As far as I know, he committed suicide, as far as I know, because he was in the Judenrat, and before he was deported, he committed suicide. My parents, somehow the family in 1939 decided to split, and my parents crossed to the Russian side. The Russians realized that there were kulaks, that they were very rich people, and the Russians sent us to a Russian concentrating camp, the Gulag. My father was working in the woods, he was cutting trees, he was a Stachanovets, he was a very good worker. So after 2 years we were released, and then they traveled to Uzbekistan. And we were in Uzbekistan until 1943. Then my father was mobilized to the Russian army from the Russian army to the Polish army, and he ended up in Pruszków in 1945. It's then where we joined him with others. When we came to Warsaw and to Pruszków, we joined him in Poland. I tried to get back some of the property. Before me, my father tried to get some of the property. In 1946, he tried to get to Siemiatycze, and he wanted to go back to his business and the factory, the tile factory in Wysoka 11. And he was warned that if he comes, although he was a Polish soldier or Polish officer, he was warned that if he comes to Siemiatycze, they will chop off his head. That's exactly what he was told. He always told me that. And therefore, they decided, at the time, there was also the Kielce affair when 43 Jews were murdered. So they decided to leave Poland forever and go to Palestine. And it is in the ruins. It is very much ruined. I understand that at the time it was confiscated and also lately sold to a car dealer, which is in fact dismantling the factory stone by stone and brick by brick. And it's about 15 dunams, which is quite a big spot, and it is in the middle of Siemiatycze. So unfortunately I tried to get it back, but I went even to the court in Podlaski, and unfortunately the court ruled out that my father, by leaving Poland and coming to Israel, which was in war, he was taken into the Israeli army, into reserves, only into reserves. And the court ruled out that there is an act which says those that left Poland between 1922 and 1953 and joined another army and swore to another flag cannot, or they lost their citizenship and they lost their property. I was little, and being little, I therefore cannot claim any property because I lost my citizenship because of my father, and therefore I cannot claim the property. When we came to Israel, my mother wanted to study. So she went to the same seminar where Zweigel was the headmaster. And she came to the seminar and he interviewed her in order to be accepted into the seminar. And she said that she studied in Białystok. And he asked her, where did you study? And she said, in Tarbut, Gimnasia Tarbut. So he accepted her as a pupil into his seminar.
My father was the headmaster of this gymnasium. He was a very young boy then, and he was on the age 23. Nowadays we don't find the house headmasters so young, but he was a teacher here for math, and then he became the headmaster of the school. In 22 or 1923, I don't know exactly, he finished his work here and he went to Vienna to study at the university. He made 2 PhD, one in pedagogy and one in philosophy. Later, he came back, after he was married, he came back to Vilna. He was offered the headmaster of the seminar Tarbut in Vilna, and then he was the headmaster of all the chain of Tarbut in Poland till 36. 36, I was very small then, 10 months, and we went all to Israel. Actually, he was also in charge of all the certificates that Jews could come to, and he waited till all went, and he went one of the last that could come on this. So we came legally with a certificate, and I think all of his teachers in this seminar came to Israel, and they became the leaders of the Hebrew education. One was the clerk of the organization of the teachers, and one was inspector. And it's amazing me now, so many years ago, after 65 years, that people in Israel still remember it.